This is a demonstration on a custom task for approving letters and scanned documents for either the manager, the PA, or a responsible person to be able to deliver, print, email, or publish either directly themselves or sending it back to the PA or the responsible person for them to do it themselves. So for example, I'll just show you what it looks like. If I, for example, have this particular record, and it could have a Word document as well attached, not attached to it, but two records, I would highlight those and then start a task, and the task I've called it is authorization for distribution, and I'm going to assign it to the manager of this document, and in this case I'm just going to assign it to Brad P, and I might put a comment in there, say please review and deliver, and that would then task go to the response for that person, Brad Pitt. So if Brad Pitt goes to the in tray, there is a process there. They can see the document if they look at the Documents tab, and they can do whatever they want here at this point. They can send it, they can email it, they can print it, or they can publish it because they've got the rights to do so. But for example, I don't feel like publishing it myself. I've been told please review and deliver. I don't want to, so I've got these extra buttons here, and I'm going to say no, you can do it for me. So I'm going to send it back to say you're authorized. The person who sent it to me, you can do it on my behalf, and could you please publish it for me? And I could of course write some comments. So of course I'm the same person, so I would then open it up and it would say, oh okay, well, they want me to publish it, great, alright, so I'll go to the document, I'll select the document and I'll publish it. And once I've published it, I can then go back to the task and say, yep, I've published that. So now the task is completed and the document's been published, and if I do a search, I'll be able to find the record, and I've got an extra index field that's got the status of the document, which is it was published. So once again, if I do a different task, I might just search for this record here, and I might say, okay, I want to run another task for another approval process, and once again I'm going to assign it to the same person. Okay, please review, and then of course I go back to my in tray and there is another task for me to complete. Once again I might look at the document, just open it up and view it. Yep, okay, know what to do with it. I can edit it if it's a Word document and things like that. I can save it and all those sorts of things, and I can decide what I want to do. But for example, I've looked at the document and say, look, I'm going to cancel this, I don't need to do anything, or I'm going to reject it because there's something wrong with it. So I might say, look, I'm going to reject that, and I'm just saying, look, you know, it's not required, and might put a comment in there. So in theory it goes back to the person who kicked off the task, and they can open it up and say, oh, it's not required, okay, so I'll just cancel the task. Or they might say, no, look, I've fixed whatever their problem was, resubmit back to and say, look, I've fixed the tax entry that you've asked for, or I've fixed up the letter, or whatever you like. We can make lots of entries in here, and then it goes back to the person who sent it, and once again, if I open the task again, it says, okay, I've fixed the letter. Oh good, alright, well, in that case I've had a look at the letter and it all looks great. I might publish it myself, or I might print it, or I might email it, or once again I'm too busy and I might say, look, you know, can you do it for me, I'm happy with it, please publish. And then of course the PA or the responsible person gets it back again, looks at their tasks and say, okay, you want me to publish it, alright, that's fine. Now here's where there's a bit of a twist. They can go to the document, select the document and publish it, and when they're finished publishing it, they can come back to their tasks to complete it and say, look, I've published it, or if they've emailed it, they can say I've emailed it. Unfortunately, when you do these, when you run these tasks, it won't do it on your behalf. You have to actually go to the task itself and complete the task on what you've actually done to that record. Now, in the future, what we'd like to be able to do is that I might have 10 or 15 documents or records waiting to be published. So what I might do is I might just send it to a queue, and that then goes off to a queue with the word waiting or pending to be published, and then we can use BPA or stored procedures or write some custom scripts, and with the next release of Virtual Cabinet 3.4, it has the capabilities of transmitting to the portal via a command line. So in theory we can get BPA or a stored procedure or write a special event that grabs the document, does a search in Virtual Cabinet for all records waiting to be published. It will pick up all the right metadata, assign the correct persons who's responsible for publishing, assign their names to it, and automatically publish it, and then Virtual Cabinet will receive the information in the database relating to all records that have been published. So that's what we can do with this simple task. So what does tasks look like? So if we look at the processes of the task, the authorization process, I have 3 stages. The authorization process, and that process looks like this, where it's got I need to assign a supervisor in case there's an issue with the task. That supervisor can search for it, and I've ticked all of these boxes. I've allowed anybody to start that task. The actions of that task are there's 6 specific entries. The first one is in this order you're authorized to distribute, and I've got an icon there with a tick box, and it will start the new task when they select it, and it's going to select the task ready for distribution. And I've got in there that the required user needs to have to select, when they select that task, please print, please email, please publish or put on hold. And when they do run that action itself, then the action will update index 38, which contains an index field with the value approved. So this helps me track any records that the task has touched, so that the unique index 38 contains the stages in which the action is completed. So if you've ticked you're authorized, then it will assign that it's been approved. The publish one basically just has update the action index 38 value with it's been published, or it's been sent via email, or it's been printed, or to reject it. And if it rejects, it's going to go to the new task called review, or cancel task. I'll put a reason, I don't update anything there, and I don't start any other tasks. So that's the actions for the authorization. Then the actions for the distribution, I've got the same thing here. I've got just allow worker to add comments and to remove documents if they need to. I don't have a supervisor. I could have a supervisor and an owner there. And the ready for distribution, the actions I've got is published, which means that the person has published it themselves. Emailed, they've printed it themselves. So printed means that the document's been printed, please collect it. Email, cancel the task, or send it to the publish queue. So the queue name is, portal queued. So if we do BPA tasks later, we can look for all records got the word portal and queued, and it will pick up all records that have got portal queued and then publish those. So the review has two actions: to resubmit, so send it back to the person, and if you do, tell them why you're sending it back. Maybe the letter was fixed because they asked them, look, I need you to resubmit this because the letter wasn't updated correctly, or tax manager may have not been updated properly. So you just build up your own list here, and it's got index 38 with the word resubmit, and of course cancel has no other tasks running. So that makes up that whole authorization for distribution task. I hope you find that useful on how to build some of the tasks and some of the things you can do with it.